day 5 of our amazing Elevate Your Money Mindset and Create More Overflow event where we are talking everything about money and how we can attract that money with ease and flow. And look how many of us today. I'm like super grateful and excited. Look, just everybody who's tuning in, just see how much love we are pouring into you. Just to know that we care and you matter. And today we are just going to dive a little bit deeper and bring another topic to our conversation. But again, all the tips, all the tools, and everything else, and also your free gifts are waiting for you at the room once you sign in for this beautiful event. And let's just introduce beautiful and inspiring speakers. Haleh, I have you first. Please tell who you are, what you are doing.
Thank you so much for gathering us all here in this space, Irina. Always grateful and thankful for you and for your amazing summits all the time. So grateful. And I'm actually it's such a joy to see each one of the speakers on here because each one of us have unique fingerprints and we all deliver messages in our own unique ways. So thank you everyone that is here. I'm Haleh, and that is pronounced like hallelujah. So to me, that means living your life in joy, having that zest for life like a 4-year-old, excited, always living your passion and just moving forward and out of the thoughts and in the heart. Because, since we're on the money subject, I used to hate money. Money to me was evil because that's a story of its own through revolution, working in high demand corporate jobs, going through domestic violence, going bedridden. So it was a bunch of stuff happening. But I also got to know what is it about money that it wasn't flowing into my life? What was my disconnect? So what I do as a health span coach, it's about living your life in cell resonance quantum healing. So I'm a health span coach, brings you your life in simplicity. Living is body, mind, and spirit. So they're all connected. Um, I was going through a lot of pain. So one of my coaches, I was blessed to be coached by Louise Hay. And I always say this and relate this because I just heard recently, a lot of people have a lot of pains and backaches. And when I coached with Louise Hay, I said, that is related. The lower back, a lot of people complaining, is related to money, lack of money. So our cells tells us how we are feeling. So it's connected to all our being and well-being. So money is a huge I would say it this way, that a lot of people are ashamed of it and they don't want to say, oh, I love money. They feel like it's bad to say that. Well, I know I didn't want money in my life. So I had shifted that in 2022. So I'm happy to be here to share my experiences and how I made it fun and how it's my best friend and how I even wrote a love letter. Join my class, join each one of us, and I'll share what you can do if you have that disconnect about money. Thank you.
Yeah, lovely tips. I loved everything what you shared on your interview. So for everybody to tune in and to listen, thanks so much. And I have Sarah next.
Hello, loves. I am Sarah Sparks. I guide powerful women through the in-between. So that space between who they were and who they're becoming. And a lot of times we like to fast forward through that and we just want to get to the end and we want to be making the money and we want to all the things. And so that sacred space is the sacred void. And so I walk them through there. So embodying their true identity and aligning their life with business, aligning themselves with their life, their business, and also their wealth. So I've written 144 wealth codes to unlock the abundance within. So I dabble all that through. So my free gift is the Healed Client Premium Attraction Blueprint. So Divine has shared that it could bring in thousands of dollars for someone. So get over there.
Totally register to claim the gifts. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much, Sarah. LaDonna, and today LaDonna's interview is up.
Yay! I am so
Yes.
excited. I am so excited. Thank you to everyone contributed. And money. Hala said she didn't like money. I was born to love money. I love money. I was born into poverty and had no money. We never starved. We always had a roof over our head. Don't get me wrong, but there was no money. Um, so when I got older, I wanted more money. And you know what? I think it's the positivity. And I have a course called Think Like a Millionaire. And I always teach everyone, no matter where you are in your life, think like a millionaire. Because where will you be if you don't? Just think about
Mhm.
that. Even if you don't become a millionaire, but you come halfway there, that's halfway between that you started with nothing or little or less. So always think like a millionaire. I love teaching others. That is my whole goal. If I can teach others, I'm a very happy girl. Teach other entrepreneurs how to grow their business where they want to and how to do it. So thank you all. And I can't wait for you to see the interview.
Yeah, that was fabulous. Thank you so, so much, LaDonna. Okay, Kayla, join us. Tell a little bit about yourself and tell where you're
Hello.
joining us from.
Yes, so very happy to be here. Very happy to be sharing this space with all these incredible speakers who I know all bring their own unique thoughts and voice to this subject. So I am coming to you from Chamonix in France today. I'm originally from the UK, but I've been an expat since I was 18. Lived in various different places. And home is currently the mountains in France for me. I am a trained NLP mindset coach and EFT practitioner. But I sort of refer to myself as a money mindset and kind of self leadership wealth coach. So, one of the really important things that I teach and that is really deep in my message, I think, is that we're kind of done with that old paradigm of where our worth is earned through exhaustion, where money is proof of our value, where success is achieved by following somebody else's kind of step-by-step formula. And I'm here to say absolutely no to that, to burn the rule book, to write it in your own way, because true wealth absolutely has to start from within, and it starts with who we are, it starts with who we're being, it starts with the embodiment, and I just being that version of you and bridging that gap between where you are, Sarah, as you said, and where you're going and who you're becoming in that process, and enjoying and just learning to love that journey. Because one thing I know for sure is when we embody that version of ourselves, when we show up as I call it, the wealthiest version of you, is money becomes just such a happy byproduct. We, without realizing it, often rewire a lot of those old narratives that just, they're not serving us anymore. So I like to say that I guide women who are tired of living by someone else's expectations, tired of living by what society says they should, who know they're meant for more, but perhaps feel a little bit stuck and a little bit scared in those self-sabotaging but self-fulfilling cycles, because we're fulfilling versions of us for everybody else and not ourselves. And I guide them to know that they are the answer, that their true wealth comes from within, and by connecting with that, they can truly lead themselves in self-leadership to create anything they want in life. So my freebie is all about that. It's a 5-day wealth reset to help people to uncover those scarcity narratives and take charge of them, and really put one step in front of the other to start creating their own version of wealth. Because I think it's about time we took back the narrative of what wealthy is for each and every one of us, because I guarantee even everyone in the room here, it's different. My version of
Mhm.
wealth is different to all of yours, and there's something really empowering in knowing that and accepting that and moving forward from that space.
Yeah, totally beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Virginia, you're next.
Yes, I love what you ladies are talking about. You're laying it down just the way I would. I also get joy from teaching others and learning from them at the same time. Um, and I am actually in my career a financial planner for several decades and have moved into, I still do some financial planning, but I do financial coaching with people that would typically not go to a financial planner. And, and I find that that is usually because of a couple of different reasons, but a big one is that they think that you have to have money to work with a financial planner, which in some cases you do, some cases you don't. But I also find that they don't maybe need a plan so much as they need confidence in their own abilities to make those decisions and those choices. And I don't think that there's one right way for anyone to do anything unless it's a legal thing. You know, we all have to pay our taxes. That's about it, right? You can't dump your sister's body in the ocean. That's, you know, that is illegal. But for the most part, we can all choose our path for each thing we want to do. And I'm not going to give you a rule book and say, here's how you get there. So
I
I'm so
love
glad
it.
to be with everybody.
Yay! Thank you so much. And Jennifer.
Hi, Arena, and I'm so grateful to be here too as well. And I love the topic today. How do you do money? How you do money is how you do everything. That's one of my favorite things to say over the years. It's how you do one thing is how you do everything. And my name is Jennifer Sifert. I'm a leadership mentor, an energy strategist, shaman, and I have a CPA designation, a chartered professional accountant designation. I worked for 18 years in public practice with entrepreneurs, and I helped many of them turn sinking ships around, get them out of big financial messes. And I also watched many of them do it all over again because they get stuck in that pattern. They didn't know how to stop repeating the bad pattern. And they were doing it, how they did it is how it happened, just like this topic we're talking about. And so now I work with leaders and entrepreneurs and corporate CEOs to help them rewire and come into alignment with the frequency of their purpose, like the mission. Why are they here? Because sometimes when you're not doing what you want to do, that's how you get in your own way. You create these patterns to mess with you, to move you in the right direction. And so I help people to see that and to help move them in what they will come into alignment with so that they are matching with what they want and their desire. And I have to do that for myself because I exited public practice and I became an entrepreneur who isn't doing people's bookkeeping or accounting anymore or taxes. And I'm really helping myself and others to come into higher frequency with prosperity consciousness because scarcity consciousness is rampant. It's rampant. And we need people like all of us in the room to start leading the way for this new paradigm to unfold. So I'm really grateful to be here with all of you. And my gift, and my talk was on day 4, Unlock Your Soul Power, Stop Drinking, Start Leading. And my gift is called Realize Your Ultimate Purpose. It's a mini course with a ebook and a video guide to help you clarify what your life mission is so you can really line up with it.
Thank you so much. I love what you shared. And let's talk a little bit more about how you do money is how you do everything. When I say this phrase, obviously a lot of things are coming up, and a lot of things are coming up for people who are self-aware, right? Not so much for many others. So that's why I just wanted to open the floor just to hear everybody's point of view, right? So we can bring more clarity to everybody who is tuning in and who is listening. So Haleh, what does that phrase bring in you?
I just love the phrase. So many of us can look at it and feel it differently.
Mm-hmm.
So what is that feeling when you say it? I think that's what's important because we all have different feelings and we're all different from one another. To me, that phrase means, how are you really inviting money in your life? Because what you feel about it, you project it out. If you come from lack, let's say someone is offering you something that you really love, I'll I'll put it back onto food. Because I hear it all the time. Oh my God, that is so expensive. But what is the price you're willing to pay for your health? And what is the price that you're willing to spend on anything? If you look at money as expense, like it's so expensive, then you'll create that when you come from the lack. It's like getting out of our head, because you'll be surprised when you let go of that thought, because it's just programming that's in our subconscious mind. When you let go of that thought and just step in, do it. And it might be very expensive, but I've had that happen. You step in and say yes. You figure out how to say, you figure it out later. You say yes and you figure it out later. One of my
Mm-hmm.
multimillionaire coaches said that to me. And it's divinely, it works out in such a way when you are literally not in your head at all and just really fully there and enjoying whatever you want to spend on. It could be food, it could be business, it could be vacation, and just do it and it'll be provided for you. That has happened to me from an experience and from many others that are fully there. But it takes practice. It's a skill set. Because if you have a needle point of doubt, it goes in the subconscious and it won't create. So money is frequency. It's how you feel, because you project anything outward. It could be money, it could be anything. So when you say how you do money is how you do everything, and it's absolutely correct. Now we're just labeling it as a money topic, but it's in anything in your life.
Mm-hmm.
How are you showing up? Because it all starts within us.
Mm-hmm. I love what you shared. And what was just coming to me is, like you were mentioning about the food, the same comes when people are not willing to invest in themselves. And a lot of people do not realize that the value that they receive by investing in themselves and start working on themselves, really understanding where they are coming from and what they would love to create in their life. It's like a game change, right? Even when we are talking about money, if we want to create more money, we have to be willing to invest, because we cannot have the fireplace produce the heat if we do not put the wood, right? So
Exactly.
that's exactly how it works. Yay, I love it. Virginia, what
Thank
is
you.
your thought about it?
I have so many thoughts, so I'll try to narrow it down. So, coming from the number side of things, technically, even though I've been in behavioral finance and the psychology of money for 15 plus years, one of the things that I love is that you can afford anything, but not everything, right? And that's true whether you're talking about wealth, your health, your time, everything, right? So people say, I don't have enough time. First of all, that's lack. And second of all, how much time are you spending on X, Y, and Z? You know what those X, Y, and Zs are. I'm not going to tell you. And when you start to look at your time and how you're using it, it can really be a eye-opening type of thing that can help you with your money mindset, your health mindset, and so forth. We live in a culture where it is harder for women to make time for themselves than it is for men. Sorry, guys, I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about the women. But we do have to make that a priority. Without our health, we don't have wealth, and your wealth and your health impact each other so much. If you don't have money, you can't take care of your health. And if you don't have health, you can't accumulate wealth. And this is research-backed information that I'm sharing with you. So I just think that how you're showing up, I'm not saying you have to budget every day. But if you ignore your finances, you're probably also ignoring your health, ignoring something else that's important to you and that's vital in your life. And if you cultivate a relationship basically with your money, like it's your friend, and you do that with your body and your soul, then you can accumulate that wealth mindset and accumulate more wealth in total.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your share. And Al, it's great to see you, and SpeedX as well. Thanks so much for joining our conversation. All right, Jennifer, what does that phrase mean to you? Are you on mute?
We're getting some feedback somewhere. I just thought I'd mute myself. Anyway, one of the things that I decided to start doing for myself, because when you're working with somebody like us, a guy, we are able to hold a frequency, and we've been practicing it for many, many years. This is our life. Like, we love doing what we're doing. And one of the ways that I see how things work, like how you do everything, is how the inner world is reflecting our outer world. So if I can shore up my inner world even more, then my clients can also expand too. So one of the things I decided to start this week, that I'm just giving a tip, is directly related to this topic, is writing a personal daily frequency statement, something about your life, your business, and your relationships around money, and how you want to hold that frequency. So I've written a statement and I'm rewriting it. So Bob Proctor, the millionaire personal development guru, gave me this idea. And I remember doing it when I was a little kid, when I studied. I used to rewrite things, read it into a recorder, and then play it while I was sleeping. And it got me good grades. So this can get me where I want, and it can help my clients get where they want, is if I align with the frequency of my business and my life and what I want, and I write it out in a statement, and I repeat that. I write it out 3 times. I read it into a recorder. I let myself listen to it, and I put energy and focus on it repeatedly. Because unless you start repeating the millionaire mindset, like LaDonna is talking about, you're not going to be able to hold this frequency. You're not going to be able to get what you want, the desires that you want. And so that's what I was thinking would be a good tip for the audience.
Yeah, that's awesome. Beautiful. Thank you so much for your share. LaDonna, how about you?
Okay. This is like an explosion in my mind when you said that sentence, because it means everything. But the main thing I think it means is balance. My God says to make sure you live within your means. That's not word for word, but live within your means. But my means is different than somebody else's means. And things that are more important to someone else may not be important to me. So we have to be balanced in our unique selves. Find that balance. When I was raising my children, now you got to remember the 30-year-old LaDonna had no clue. But now that I'm seasoned LaDonna, I have lots of clues. But when I was raising my children, you know how kids are, I want when you go to the store. No matter what store you go to, I want. So finally, I told my girls, can you live without it? When you leave the store without it, are you going to crave it? If you are, then it's a must-have. We'll figure it out. But if it's not, leave it in the store. And you know that now they're in their mid-30s. They still live by that rule. and it works. Also, balance is with everything. Everything. When they, my husband and I, their dad has been married for over 40 years. So something has worked. But again, it's balance. But when they started dating and they were serious about men, they would come home, yeah. I'm like, first of all, did you communicate with them? Do you have balance? And this is key. What are you willing to put up with? What are you willing to give? And what are you willing not to put up with? And to this day, they still live by that. I do too. And I think it goes back to living a balance of your life with everything. I mean, I don't go out and buy a new Ferrari today, but that's not important to me. But it might be really important to someone else. When I was 30, that was very important. But now it's just other things are important. Retiring, traveling. My daughters could care less about retiring. They think it's monstrous years away. So I hope that makes sense. Balance, 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 and know what your worthiness is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much. Kaylee, what would you say on that subject?
Yeah, well, first of all, I just want to say that I love what everybody else is having to say on this topic. And I think it just really magnifies the point of how we're all so different and what we hold as important, and the way we think and what we value in our lives is different to the next person. Because for me, as soon as I saw the topic and saw that, how you do money is how you do everything, what it really brought up to me is the fact that it's not actually about the money.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking about money here, but for me, the first thing that struck me was what we're really saying here is it's not about the money. Money is never just money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what we're actually saying when we say how you do money is how you do everything, is we're saying that our relationship with money, your relationship with money, actually reveals a lot about how you relate to yourself, to your power, to your desires, to your boundaries, to your habits, to your vision for life. And so sometimes the habits and the patterns that we have with our money can be a magnifier to other things that we're perhaps, and other habits that we're perhaps living out in our lives, in our businesses. If we're constantly anxious about money, we're probably anxious about a lack of control in a lot of other areas too. If we're constantly checking our bank account, it's likely that we like to keep control and think that we're, by doing so, we're in control, and we want feedback all the time, and decisions have to be made. And so I think it's really interesting, this idea that how you do money is how you do anything. Because another thing that really came to mind with this is that there is often a fear that more money will change you. I know, I've had that in my life. We've heard from some of the other ladies already today about how, or if I have more money, or I don't want money, and money makes people bad, or money makes people do bad things, or money might make me a different person. And the reality of this statement, and the reality of the situation, actually is that money only amplifies everything that you have within you. And so if you are here on this earth to have an impact and to make change and help others to live a big life, then you having more wealth and more money only amplifies your ability to be able to do that. And so again, it's like a mirror. You're reflecting back. How you do money, how you hold money, how you have money is not only how you do everything, but how you can lead the way and guide others to also knowing that they can live that way as well. And I think that's the main thing for me with this, is just that it's never really about the money.
Yes, I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. And Sarah, what about you?
Oftentimes people want to receive with ease. And for all of my life, so how you do money is how you do everything. For all of my life, I've received with ease. Only I looked at it that, like, as a child, I wanted a dog. Well, a family friend came to the door with a purebred Samoy, just got all the shots, puppy, and was like, "You're just so special, Sarah, and you're so special to me. Here's a dog, if your parents will allow you." I wanted a horse as a child. I was 5. Somebody was going to take the horse because it was an old mare, going to get rid of it. And my father's like, "If you don't want it, my daughter would take it." So I rode that. I got the horse for free. Cars, houses, husband, children, they came to me as souls. The thing is if I look out in society, my core wound is abandonment. And that's what the core wound quiz on my website, it's part of my freebie. My core wound was abandonment. Well, I would rather abandon those beliefs that receiving with ease is how I do everything. Because if I look out into society, I would see that struggle is how you become successful. And that's not how how we all want it. So the thing that shifted for me in receiving with ease was remembering that that was my divine inherited way from the get-go. And then I had to shift how I was doing it. So like I was looking at other humans as my source. And once I shifted to divine as my source, then more and more and more came in. And so it became an embodiment, not just a mindset of being a millionaire. And it wasn't, there was now a sacred, a consecrated distribution of where that was now a divine assignment of where that money was going to be going. So my tip or whatever I'm going with on this one is, think about how you do it. Money is how you do everything. Like if you're truly designed to receive with ease, which we all are, if we look back at childhood, like we thought about a sucker, we got it, or we, like whatever it was, you're just like, hey, here you go. Anyways, think back to that. And if there's I had a lot of guilt and shame around being able to receive with ease and I got a lot of guilt and shame around how much divine actually loved me. And I have had this belief my entire life that I am always taken care of and I'm always blessed and I'm always safe. So I had to release the guilt and shame. So if you have anything around that, you may want to release it.
Yay, so beautiful. And I just wanted to wrap up just to say, join if you haven't registered yet. If you already register, these interviews are the gems. So keep watching them. It's only 2 interviews per day. It's less than an hour each, and each speaker has their input on this topic with their tips, with their tools, and with their free gifts. So it's your time to really say yes to this event and sign up, and do not hold yourself back anymore, because the only person who is standing in the way is you. So just allow yourself to completely give the permission and explore something you would want to explore, and have the great relationship with the money. And because if you do money well, you can do any area of your life well. Thank you so much for joining. Have a beautiful, beautiful day and join our masterclass. Bye.